Coming a little closer.
I looked down and shit because I had goggles on. I saw beneath me, dog. I saw nothing. I saw a couple fish swimming past and shit.
Right here.
And that was it.
This would be good right there.
I'm like, fuck this.
Get back on the boat. You right? You didn't think you could swim?
Huh?
You didn't think you could swim, probably.
No, I got back on the boat, put that life jacket on, went back out there and shit. He like sharks don't come past the shelf usually.
Alright, that's recording. The audio
You
on.
get tired of trying to
We're
work.
ready? And we're going live in 5, 4, 3.
I don't know how to float. I got too much muscle.
And
I don't know if that's what it is.
wait.
No, that is what it is.
Turn down.
Motherfucking swimmer too.
Turn this on.
Not me personally that I got too much muscle, but basically that.
In 5, 4, 3,
fat people
2, and 1. And action. Let's go. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to today's episode. It's actually the first 4Fives podcast that we're producing right now. So
welcome to the 4Fives podcast.
Exactly. So we hope that y'all are just as enthusiastic about this as we are, because we feel like as positive young black men, actually, positive black men in general, we feel like there needs to be a voice. You need to stop talking about all of the things that have a negative impact on society, and start bringing up the things that have a positive and impactful impact. Can I say that? That's not
we just
Listen,
want to give
we're bringing you the righteous and the ratchet. We're going to give you truly what we are, the oxymorons that we are. We're giving you the righteous and the ratchet. It's going to be the politics, but it's going to be the ratchet shit too. It's going to be the Cardi B's. I'm not saying she's ratchet, but it's going to be them. It's going to be, I don't watch Love and Hip Hop, so I can't touch none of that type of shit, but it will be things that's happening in the streets, things that's happening where you from, where you at, things you know about, pop culture to a degree, but mostly we're going to touch on the politics, we're going to touch on social relations, we're going to touch on what's popular, everything that's happening during your week. You can expect to hear that on the 4Fives podcast.
Exactly.
Please give us questions, please give us comments, please give us concerns, please tell us where you want us to take it.
Our audience is just as much a part of the conversation as we are. Oh, this is Ray, by the way. But
we definitely
our audience is just part of the as much as the part of the conversation as we are. So we do encourage a lot of feedback and a lot of y'all questions just to keep the conversation going. Eventually we will get to the point that we're having guests. As of right now, we're just starting out. So it's going to be Daryl, Khalif, and myself talking. We're missing one, who is Paul. So that would make the whole 4. And the 5 is indicative of the floor that we're from, which is the 5th floor in Schaefer Hall. So if you have any questions, any feedback that you want to give about our podcast, we'll be giving out our email address at the end of this podcast so that y'all can give us some of the feedback. And we also going to share this on social media. So when y'all do get hold of this podcast, make sure y'all put it out on your Facebook, your Instagrams, your Twitter, tweet it out there, get us out there. Let your friends know. Listen to us on your way to work. Sometimes we'll make you laugh. Sometimes we might make you cry. Sometimes we're going to piss you off. Sometimes we're going to confirm some of the feelings that you had about certain subjects. So,
all right. So let's jump right into it as we watch this Philadelphia Eagles versus Chargers.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So you know what the first topic must be. We got to talk about I don't even know what to call it anymore. What initially was the Colin Kaepernick protest, which has evolved into, I don't even really know how to describe it at this point, with the locking of the arms, the random kneeling, the non-kneeling, the whatever else people are trying to do. I don't even know what's happening on most of these games. But that has to be the first topic as we watch this game.
What about it? Like
the NFL in general. It's basically, let's talk about the reality of something that we're bringing to the forefront in terms of politics, in terms of the national anthem, in terms of the platform that these players have to really voice a certain opinion.
So let's really start at the beginning of how this took place, right? It started with Colin Kaepernick sitting on the bench during the national anthem during some preseason games.
Oh, the preseason.
Then it evolves into, from what I'm now to understand, Colin Kaepernick spoke to somebody who was in the service, the armed forces, and said, well, I think you should take a knee. Now, if you play sports, taking a knee has never really been a negative thing. Somebody gets injured, you take a knee.
Yeah.
You're listening to your coach, you take a knee.
Right.
You listen to whomever's about to speak, you take a knee. So it made perfect sense to me when Colin Kaepernick takes the knee. It was never a sign of truth. It was never.
Yeah, taking the knee is the equivalent of, all right, I'm gonna throw my hands up. You got me. I'm gonna take the knee. I don't want no trouble. Like I ain't doing nothing.
It's almost like you're neutral.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like I ain't doing nothing. Take the knee.
I'm not attacking you. You're not attacking me.
Right. I don't want.
It's a white flag.
It's waving a white flag. Not necessarily, but
not waving a white flag.
But so let's talk about it. So
then
in the justice it progressed. Like how do y'all see where it started to where it is today?
Well, the thing is I mean, it's not like it's something that just came around. I mean, when you really look at sports and politics, it really goes hand in hand. I mean, you don't necessarily have a president like Donald Trump coming out and saying, "Oh, well,
shout out to Trump.
If you if you do this or if you don't do this, you should just be off the NFL team." I mean, that's bizarre, obviously, but it's been happening for a while. I mean, think about, I forget this guy's name. He played for he had a Muslim name. I think he played for either Cleveland or the Lakers, but you probably would more so know him because he had.
You want to call sports?
No, just to take it back, sports in general. He had Tourette syndrome. He was really good, but he had like Tourette's. He was like,
who's this?
You look him up. He had Tourette syndrome. He was an NBA player.
Didn't the nigga play for the Titans have Tourette's?
No, you know what? You guys got it.
Chris Johnson.
Y'all
used to see Chris Johnson on the sideline twitching and shit. Y'all gotta pay attention to this nigga, dog. He used to be on the side of the field twitching and shit.
So anyway, so I'm sitting here trying to actually look at my bad. So all right, got it. I think we got our commercial players. Okay, man. Mahmoud Abdul Raouf.
Oh, you talking about the basketball player from the
NBA? Yeah. So he didn't want to go to I know this is a bit off topic, but we're bringing it full circle real quick though, because when you talk about something that just came about, it didn't necessarily just come about.
I didn't know
you were talking about.
I'm taking it back. I'm giving y'all facts. Mahmoud Abdul Raouf. I believe he didn't want to go to the armed forces, right?
No,
he wasn't.
He didn't want to go to the White House after they won I think they won a championship that year, something like that. But
no,
he did a protest. He was the first. Matter of fact, I think he protested the national anthem.
Listen, there is.
All right, bring it back. Okay,
athletes protesting.
So the thing is that he protested the national anthem back then, and then he kind of got shunned upon. You know what I mean? Look at Muhammad Ali. He didn't want to go to not to bring it back, but just kind of to bring it full circle in terms of the fact that it's been going on for a while. People have wanted to represent how they really felt about America, because in terms we appreciate being free. Yeah, we very appreciate having the opportunity, but we want to be treated equal. And so, not too many opportunities as a black man or black woman or black whoever or minority whoever had the opportunity to express that opinion on a platform.
I really hate the term minority when it comes to race in America.
Right.
Because if we just look at the census, we already see that they've changed the way, first of all, they label us, but they've changed the way they label us now. You're more likely to see that you have to check that you're white, black, Native American, some type of Asian, right? Something that will cover all Asians, right? They put all Asians in one category. But then you have to check a box, yes or no, to if you're Hispanic. So they put all Hispanic people in a position where they can't say that they're Hispanic. They have to say that they're black, white, usually it's going to be black or white, right? And then acknowledge that they're Hispanic. That is used to skew the census data so that it appears that white people are still the majority. Reality is it's most likely that white people and for a while have not been the majority. And so to can call ourselves minority, I've never really gotten down with that, especially once I became a social worker and saw how we check the boxes basically on racial categories.
So how would you separate us in terms of social class or
if we really want to be honest about it, we can say most people are black. Most people can trace their history to Africa. If you go deep enough, you go far enough. I'm not talking about 23andMe and shit that puts you all over the place. I'm talking about if you really look at your history, if you look at the history of man.
Well, listen, we all, at the end of the day, are niggas. So, with that being said, what do y'all think about the fucking protest?
So here's my opinion, when it boils down to it. When you think about when it all started, You know, everybody didn't necessarily understand why Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee. I mean, they knew he wanted to stand for racial justice.
I think at this point, people still
I think people choose not to understand. That's the thing.
I don't know
some
if it's
people,
a choice.
I think
I
it's purposely misunderstanding it just so they can support the argument. That's all I'm trying to get to. Like, whenever there is a divide between, you know, popular consensus and what the people are standing against, they'll try to change the narrative to make it seem like, you know, they're protesting the military or this is anti-American. Right. But no, it's got nothing to do with the military.
It's like trace it. If you just think consciously and just do a little bit of research, you trace it. Think about when we even started seeing the national anthem on TV during sports games. You never really saw that. You saw it when it was the Super Bowl. You saw it when it was a famous singer singing the national anthem. But traditionally, you didn't see the national anthem on your sports broadcast.
It's like the cameras turn on. Let's see what they're going to do. Who going to kneel? Let's catch them.
You started seeing it once Colin Kaepernick took the knee.
But that should, listen, the whole situation, you know, at the end of the day, man, I know Colin Kaepernick looking around today after the spectacle last week, like, Nick, where was y'all at?
I think the spectacle last week is a distraction. I think every time President Trump throws some random shit out, I mean, the NFL thing was not random, but that's not really what you're looking for from your president.
Yeah.
Anytime he throws some shit out there that you're like, well, why are you really even touching this topic? I feel like it's a distraction. And you notice he gets these instant reaction. It took the whole NFL to react to just one thing that this motherfucker said. I mean, where was the whole NFL reacting months ago, last season, when all this stuff was happening originally? It took for him to say something. I think it's a distraction. We're not thinking about North Korea.
It's like the owner said it's okay, so we're going to kneel now. Like, nah. Keep that same energy you had at the beginning of the protest.
You're not going to come out.
You didn't understand it before.
If you really remember before the military started being a sponsor of the NFL, teams weren't really even out during the national anthem. You stretched, remember? And then you went back into the tunnel, back into the locker room, and you got your speech from your coach, and then you came back out and started the game.
Listen, it wasn't even in protest. I just wasn't never paying attention during the national anthem because I was thinking about who I was going to hit first when the fucking kickoff happened. So, you know, at the end of the day, like I didn't care back when I played football. Like when the national anthem was played, it just was played. I guess it was just a part of the day. I never felt so patriotic behind it. So, you know, like I said.
So can I just kind of interrupt y'all? I just want to quote. It's a quick. I'm looking at some stuff online real quick. So it's an article that I'm reading on USA Today, and I want to just quickly kind of jump to it. It's by Eric Brady, and it's a quick quote. National anthems are politics. The song is about a battle in the War of 1812. The first documented time that it was played at an American sporting event came at a basketball game in 1862 during the Civil War. The tradition of playing it at sporting events got a dramatic boost at the 1918 World Series during World War I, and the tradition of playing it before games was popularized during World War II. We are a patriotic country, and we're different from the rest of the world in that respect. As we grew and as we prospered, people wanted to show their patriotism. Francis Scott Key wrote the song in 1814, and it became the national de facto anthem not long after. Congress made it official in 1931. World War I vets had been lobbying it for years. Ferris says that it was one respect Yankee Doodle Dandy should be the national anthem because it dates to the nation's roots in the Revolutionary War. So it's like it never really had a purpose. It was more so a way that we were like, oh, we were at war. It's almost like a feeling of nostalgia. Like it brings us back to the time when we were at war and we prospered.
All I'm saying is, how do you call yourself being patriotic if you don't give a shit about the people that are suffering under that same flag that you represent and stand for? And that's what's being patriotic to me. And at the end of the day, ain't nobody stepping up to the plate to say what Colin Kaepernick stood for, or better yet, knelt for, is enough, or that we care about the issue enough for us to want to do something about it and see these things change in this country. Instead, what we're going to do is ignore the fact that he's kneeling about that and change the narrative to make it seem like he's being unpatriotic. Therefore, he will lose his job and not be welcome into the NFL. But then we're going to continuously change the narrative so that any other player that decides to protest will be ostracized, and the issue that he initially protested to begin with becomes minimal, and nobody care or gloss over the fact that there are people dying out here in these streets and nobody's being convicted behind these crimes.
Right,
and that's what the issue is.
So is it military or is it police? Because it's like
police.
It's like
nothing to do with the military.
It's like we're sitting here fighting a battle, but we're fighting two different battles trying to fight the same battle.
That's why I said they changed the narrative. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not about the military, but what I'm saying is if you have a cause and something you stand for, right? And I want to make myself look right in the process, instead of arguing with you and contending that cause that you're standing for, I'm going to change the narrative so that we're discussing something entirely different. So this discussion hasn't been about the people that's dying out here in the streets. It hasn't been about Eric Garner. It hasn't been about Castillo. It hasn't been about these guys that have been killed by police. And it's been about the military and the country and being unpatriotic beyond, just taking a stance for something, or better yet, kneeling for something. And that's what I don't like about it. Like, we're not going to change this whole narrative in the conversation. What are y'all going to do about people being killed on these streets, unarmed civilians? What are y'all going to do about policing in these communities? Y'all not doing nothing about it. That's why you're not a patriot. Don't call yourself patriotic if you're not doing something that we're all equal. So what am I sitting here putting my hand on my heart for? What do we represent?
So to play devil's advocate, right? So there are so many different ways that as an African Americans, excuse me, we could protest, what America stands for. But when you sit back and look at it, right, the one thing we're doing is we're protesting the national anthem, right? The national anthem isn't about injustice as far as police officers, and it's not about like how it's not the first verse isn't. So I think the problem is that we're fighting these two different battles. Where obviously the second and the third verse is all about how you black people need to bow down and we fought this war for you. We're gonna put you at the forefront to get killed, and as the song goes on. But there's a thing where I think white people don't understand, or not even white people who don't stand for kneeling for the flag. They can't separate the fact that that when you talk about how black people are at the forefront of injustice, how there's a second and a third verse to it, and how that's how the song relates to the injustice in terms of
most people don't even know the second and third verse. So you can't even make that relevant.
But what other way does it represent any type of? Because that song itself, that first verse has nothing about black people.
Listen, bro. I'm not saying
that has to do.
It's nothing to do with the first verse. It's like It's not even nothing to do directly with the anthem.
It is that the national anthem has been made to be associated with the United States military, and that's when you hear the anthem, that's where a lot of people's mind goes. And so to say that he's taking a knee, to see him taking a knee, it's just considered disrespect because it's not in the norm. The norm was never really to put your hand over your heart. That just got popular recently. And if we really trace it back, the norm for putting your hand over the heart, which actually is more associated with the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance before it was put your hand over your heart, it was the hell like you held Hitler. But then Hitler and his Nazis did it, and so it got too popular, so they changed it. And didn't want to be associated with the Nazis. If you really look at our history, I mean, developmentally, we're probably exactly where we should be. And what's happening, the social awareness, the conversations that are being sparked, I think that's positive. But what else do we need to do? We all going to agree that it needs to be legislation. But I might argue that the legislation is there. I think it's the enforcement of the legislation. I think black people need to start taking jury duty seriously.
Shit, hell yeah.
I went to court. I got chosen. I was a foreman. And you hear a funny story, and this not to get off topic.
No.
But I can tell you about this topic. So I was in court, right? So I get chosen as a juror out of all these people or whatever. It's like me, it's like maybe one other black lady and a majority of white people. And the case is a drug case or whatever. And and so, I ended up becoming the foreman, like the lead juror or whatever, because of course it's a black man that's getting ready to go down or whatever. And so the case basically they got an informant to and I now that I can talk about it now that I'm not part of the case anymore.
Oh, you went all the way to trial with that shit?
Yeah, I was in the motherfucking I'm the nigga that saved this nigga life.
Oh yeah, man, I'm talking about this
shit. So basically, he was selling whatever. I don't know if it was heroin or whatever, crack, whatever the case may be. So the police officers, they basically had some informants, paid informants they call them, to go in there and illegally buy the drugs with like this money that was marked that they knew that was specifically used to buy drugs. So the informant went in there, bought the drugs, came out, and that's how they got it or whatever. And so the case was basically, and here's the interesting part about it, the crazy part about it too, is that the defendant attorney and the prosecuting attorney, it was both their first trial ever. They never ever actually, you know. And I'm sitting there, thinking to myself, wow. They've never been lawyers. They've never said
they trying to get a layup.
Yeah.
They probably walk into the courtroom like this about to be a breeze.
No, it's both defendant and prosecutor. So they both trying to like.
I thought
it's rookie versus rookie.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sitting there like, so we really about to sit here and value this man like, and I went through their presentation in the hands of two motherfuckers that never did it before. And at that time, it just felt so surreal.
Well, thank God the prosecutor wasn't experienced. He probably ate the fucking defendant.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting there in the back room. I'm just sitting there with the rest of the jury or whatever. I'm telling them like, listen, you know, the defendant went in there, but who's to say that he went in there to see that particular guy? I mean, it was a 3-story house. You know, how can we sit here? We don't know the facts. And then really,
how much drugs was involved? That's my question.
It was like a quick little like 50 bag or whatever. And I ain't saying that's crazy nothing, but in my head, you know, I'm just thinking.
No,
like,
what I'm saying, how much was it worth? How many grams did they
I don't know the specific amount. He went there like $75 or something like that.
And they tried to. How much did he get busted?
They was trying to send him down for at least 10 plus.
For how many grams? You don't know?
I don't know the specific amount. But he
said $75 worth, don't you?
No, you ain't gonna sit me down for fucking 3
It wasn't, but it was heroin though. It wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. No, but 3 grams of dope.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm sitting there. I was the foreman. I'm sitting there. Rest of all the jurors like, you know, we really about to put this man down for this amount of years. I'm thinking to myself. Of course, internally, I'm thinking like, this is just another black man that's gonna be part of the system. That, you know, and he ain't the real problem. How he a problem when the system and the drugs themselves were brought into the, you know, our society by the government itself.
You got national on it.
That's what I just was thinking to myself. So I was like, it was one person in there saying, well, you know what, we should take him down. He should be an example, blah blah. But her herself was like a junkie. Right. She looked like she was on crack, bro. You know how you know. Yeah, voice was all messed up. And I'm like, only reason she probably doing that is because she probably insecure about the fact because she knows she looked like she on drugs.
Hell no, they was about to lock his silly ass up, and they probably was like, listen, you.
So everybody else was like, no, we're not gonna put him in jail except for her. And then finally, you know, we got to the end, and I was like, you know what? No, we're not putting him in jail. And then here's the funny part about it is that, oh man, that touchdown. It's all good. We still up. But so the funny part about it is that the judge says to me, right after it's all over and we find him not guilty. Oh my gosh, we all had a bet between us, the security and both the defendants and attorney of who would be the foreman, because they don't know who the foreman is until you come out at the very end of the case.
Right.
So they don't know who these. We knew.
Right.
Because we decided who it would be before we came out. Because you get introduced and you go back and you talk to each other. So I knew I was. So they was trying to figure out who is it that we got to convince.
Right.
So needless to say, you know, they said we had a bet that we thought it was going to be you because we just had a feeling, and they was laughing about it. And I was like, man, this is my motherfucking man's life.
Yeah.
He getting ready to go down.
But listen, I'm gonna tell you some shit, yo. You know what I really what I think, yo? I think every judge that sits in on these criminal cases that can hand out sentences and shit should have to do 30 days in jail. Seriously. They should have to do 30 days. Just because, listen, you're gonna be handing out time like they Tic Tacs, you know, like take this 10 years, come out, change your life around. I feel like I should know what I'm putting you through. I should have first-hand experience.
Enough to think that people will turn their life around to do jail.
No, the reason I'm saying this is because the conditions that these prisoners live under should be understood. Now, don't get me wrong. These are criminals, quote unquote, by the system standards. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if I'm going to condemn you to death, or anyone, then it wouldn't be no death penalty, right? Because motherfuckers like, fuck that, I ain't trying to get a death penalty. But anything should be humane. Like, you trying to give a man 10 years for 3 grams of dope in a maximum security prison, you should know what you're subjecting that man to. But that fuck around had judges giving out harsher sentences. Like, fuck that, I did 30 days, nigga. You doing 30 years for a nickel bag of weed. I came home. But seriously though, like, I be thinking about that, like, you know, and like, who is you? Like, who are you to say 10 years is right for me? Like, these are the sentences, but they got sentencing standards. That's what I'm saying. Like, the Supreme Court make sentencing guidelines that they gotta adhere to for like these type of crimes and shit.
Supreme Court.
Well, whoever. I don't know who make the sentencing guidelines. I thought it was Supreme Court.
Through legislation, usually it's through precedent.
Well, whoever these niggas,
like what the norms are.
Whoever them niggas is making these sentencing guidelines need to do 30 days.
The judge doesn't have to stick to precedent.
He got discretion to do it. But at the end of the day, I just think these judges should have to be able to do 30 days in jail and then be like, all right, you know what? Because listen, man, some of these dudes gave off thousands of years.
No, I completely agree, and I don't mean to like kind of cut things short, but as we transition through topics and we talk about like the impact of like the judicial system and how it impacts us as men, it just brings me to a different topic in terms of like a lot of the negative aspects in terms of being black. They come from the development of being built up in the wrong type of homes. You know what I mean? Because everybody thinks that not just because you have right homes, you have wrong homes. It's just wrong. You do because you do. You have households where things are being allowed that normally shouldn't be allowed. Right?
Sure, you're talking to the social worker. I've seen
exactly. So the next topic we want to talk about really kind of to transition things is black fatherhood. The struggle of that you go through, the importance of it, and the lack of it. In certain terms. So, what I mean? What's your opinion right now on, I guess a quick question would be on the state of black fatherhood and the impact that it has on society outside of the NFL and taking a knee and whatnot?
All right, based on, like, my experience, primarily with work, I see a lot more fathers involved, generally speaking. Now, I say that, and at the same time I see a lot of fucked up shit, too. So it's not really balanced for me, but I have been in a lot of situations where we've had to remove children from their mothers, and an appropriate place to put them was with their fathers. I see a lot of fathers who are active. A lot of problem I see is this be fathers in jail. I get a lot of phone calls and letters from fathers in jail. Oh yeah, I heard my child was in foster care. Yeah, but what the fuck do you do?
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you bring some family members to the table or what? Because that's the best I can do is put them with your family. But then half the time their families aren't in a position to take them. It's like taking on another expense. You're taking on a whole person. But no, I see a lot of fathers. Even just in my daily life, driving around, I see fathers. So I see a lot of black fathers.
I think the stereotype that
that
black fathers don't be involved with their kids is bullshit at this point. I'm starting to see more and more of it. I went to Chuck E. Cheese yesterday. And motherfucking everybody was in there with their kids and shit. I saw a bunch of niggas in there with their kids. I was happy. I was proud for a minute, but I'm
happy right now.
That shit had me like that shit look like that shit look like the real parents of the ghetto and shit. I ain't gonna lie to you though. That shit was hood than a motherfucker. But I still was like, yo, they say black fathers ain't around, nigga. I ain't seen nothing but dads in there.
Especially,
you know what I'm saying? I was just like, that's like being a deadbeat ain't like.
But you can almost compare it to the stereotype of a black man in general, in terms of like how black fathers are viewed. You know what I mean? Because think about it. It's like there's so many jokes online. There's so many different like memes, so many different videos of like, honestly, I'm not gonna date her. I saw a meme. It was a white guy. It was like, reason why you wouldn't date you can date a black man, a black woman. You never have to worry about being a father. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that was the joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it's a stereotype, and it's probably how it's viewed in terms of this black man.
Man, listen, a lot of shit that's funny is fucked up, and that's the fucked up part about it all. But like
we're drug dealers, and we blast loud music, and we sell, and we.
But guess what?
Everybody blasts loud music.
Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all. I think that the great equalizer in the society is more niggas getting white women pregnant. We should have our kids by black women too. We need to fuck more of their daughters. We need to mix this shit up a little bit, because this conversation to change. It's like, nah, I can't kill my grandson. Like, my grandson is a nigger. And I can't kill my grandson. So at the end of the day, I think we need to fuck more of their daughters. That's how you piss them off. You fuck their women. I don't know about y'all, but I think that's the
great. Black men have been fucking white chicks
forever. But we was the fun, like we was the guy they wanted to come have fun with. Fuck that. No, you got to leave. You got to leave your fucking ring in a cookie jar. You got to leave. You got to keep your receipt. Nah, nigga. You don't like niggas, but guess what, nigga? Your grandchild is black. You don't like this little black bastard. And guess what? I'm gonna fuck your daughter. And when you have a great granddaughter, we gonna fuck her too. At the end of the day, we need to start doing that. We need to mix these races
So I think I get where you're coming from.
A lot of people that don't like what you say.
Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Let's mix it up.
And I get where you're coming from.
They call America a melting pot. Well, let's melt this shit. That's turning the heat up.
No,
so
but I get where you're coming from, and it makes sense in terms of like you're asking punishing. Wait.
I'm an equal opportunity.
But no. But let me just drop some shit on you. What's messed up about what you're saying, right, is that you want to make the people from now, pay for and be a result of the actions of a lot of people from back in the day. Because there's a new thing. I can't sit here and say that all white people that are like at a certain age aren't racist or whatever. But there is like a certain audience of white people, a lot of white people that aren't racist and are against that shit. So to sit here and say go get a white woman pregnant and no, make wait I'm not no. To sit here and say go get a white woman pregnant because of the way that her parents or the way that society views is almost like saying like let's be racist to niggers from the fact that no seriously as white people. Wait no, we deal with racism today. But I'm saying in today's racist society there are a lot of white people who are not racist. They aren't as racist as the people that we dislike. No, wait, let me get my point across.
Nigga, you taking long.
My bad. Okay. So when you take it back to the point where like you make people pay for it, I don't think it's not. I mean, in a lot of people,
I ain't making nobody pay for it.
With your actions, you are. You sitting here. Let's make their granddaddy say, yeah, my grandson's white. My grandson's black.
A nigga.
Yeah, nigga. Boom.
There you go.
That's absurd. You know what I mean? But what
Is it absurd?
I mean, I think it's crazy. But in terms of like, I get what you're saying. But
right.
I think a different way to do it is that you can't keep on allowing things to like. Okay. You can't keep on allowing things to be a certain type of way and just keep on having a cycle and just go back and forth. It has to be a point of realizing that, in my opinion, I do. So I'm almost saying. I do agree that it is a race problem, but it's not only a race problem. It's a social class problem. When you look at like redlining, when you look at like there were certain areas that were.
Talk about the economics.
I'm just saying when you look at black families and how the average household is a mom and dad and children. We're not set up for success. That's all I'm saying. And that, it's not really a thing of racism because if you're a white, black, whoever, I mean, obviously, redlining is.
What that got to do with Bridget Craig?
That you gotta teach, I don't know. What do you think, Dad? Because he's sitting here not understanding where I'm coming from.
I don't, nigga.
Look, I think.
What you're talking about, I'm talking about alternative ways to get us where we need to be. You gotta start changing the norm. Realizing where reality is.
I called it the great equalizer. Tell me why that doesn't equal the playing field for our great grandchildren.
Let's all right, so you talking about getting in their vaginas and getting in their sexual parts. I'm saying let's get in their brain. Let's inform them and realize what it's going to take. Like,
I think it got to be some balance there. Yes, it is to a degree mixing of the races. I believe that to be true, but I also do believe it is the bettering of the conversation, the improvement of the conversation, and making more people aware. I do believe that a lot of people are in a position where they've never really even been around black people or people of color, so they really have no idea what black people think. And their true only depiction is on television. And look, we had our first-hand experience when we went to IUP. We met a lot of, primarily it was white women that we were dealing with that had never been around black guys before.
Yep.
Y'all remember that? And they didn't really know how to handle us. They didn't really know how to gauge where we was coming at. They laughed at all that shit. But how much of that?
Man, we almost went to jail. In our first 10 days in college, messing with white girls for the first time, like full-fledged.
You gotta know what you're doing. You can't just approach.
In our first 10 days, nigga, I was scared straight. I ain't gonna hold you.
Well,
I ain't trust nobody else. I was like, fuck that.
The detectives came to the room like, yeah, so what's your involvement?
Which one of y'all are Ray Ray?
A Ray Ray. We're like, who? We don't know, a Ray Ray.
I'm like, hold up. I'm coming out of class, you know what I'm saying? My psychology class and shit. Cops at the front door. But either way, all I'm saying is that's the great equalizer in my eyes. That makes the racist.
So this is, but to bring it back to
my way, I have a black baby, an Indian baby, an Asian baby, a white baby. I want an Italian. I always want to be seriously a little Armenian joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want a baby from all around the world and shit, man. They used to call me Mr. International in high school. Remember that shit?
Oh, you used to say
Asian chicks. I used to hang with all the Asian people. I used to hang with everybody. Shit. About that. Everybody was cool with me, but
just to bring it back full circle about Black Fatherhood.
Black Lives Matter.
Not Black Lives Matter. We're talking about Black Fatherhood, just to kind of bring it full circle on the importance of it. Is you hear all these different things, we're talking about. You hear all these things we're talking about, all these different all these different things that influence us as like black men. But let's just talk about how it really starts, at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if we all had a chance from somebody who really cared. You know what I mean? Like, as a black father, like, you know what I mean? Like, think about the importance or impact of like having, somebody who you can look up to in your life. Like,
I mean, I've had that. I think a lot of
the dynamic is different. I think between us three, I think everybody, all three of our experience, like in terms of having a father figure around, is completely different. I think it's actually an interesting dynamic because we all could pretty much draw from different experiences. But I would like you to take first on Daryl, just to see like what that figure being directly in your household every day, your flesh and blood was like for you.
Yeah, so my dad was consistently in my life, like, from go. And so that has always been just the expectation. For me, at a young age, I wanted children. And I wanted them when it was time. I just wanted to have kids. But I always wanted children. I knew I worked well with kids. I always was that kind of guy, and I always loved kids. For me, having a dad consistently in my life, I mean, I just remember a lot of the stuff he said to me. Like now, as I get older and older, it blows my mind how many things I just remember that he said to me. And a lot of things he would say repetitively, that have been efficient and effective in me handling my day to day. Like, he would always hit me with the excuses or tools of the weak and incompetent. But it wasn't until I became an alpha that I learned the full John excuses of tools of the weak and incompetent, but Bill's mindness and nothingness and vision nowhere. Those specializing themselves to see and anything else. I mean, it was that, but it was other stuff too. Like, one thing my pop told me, I don't remember how old I was, probably young teenager, maybe mid-teens. He was like, look, man, if she don't want you in your worst gear, then she not the type of chick you want to be with. And that really spoke to me, because even back then, that's when I was like, yeah, because I was never really super fashionable cat. I wore what the fuck made me feel comfortable. But when he said that to me, like, that made sense to me. Like, the chick you gonna get is the chick you gonna get. And if she's trying to get with you just because of what you got on, then what she really gonna get from her in the long run? It's just some yams before that, and I've done that. But the quality woman, she's not concerned with what you have on. She's not approaching you based on what you have on. And what you got on can put you in a better position, of course. But that always stuck with me. He said plenty of things that speak to me now and speak to me then. He was one of those fathers that was, I brought you in this world, I can take you out. I mean, the respect was there, the fear was there, the love was there. He always hugged me, he always told me he loved me. I mean, he kissed me, he cooked. He taught me a lot of stuff. I mean, everything a father, I believe a father should do, he did his best. I say to all parents in my profession, like, look, the most important thing you can do as a parent is give time and give attention. Just do the best you can with what you got.
That's right. What about you? Like,
well, again, when you talk about how things is different, you know what I mean, for all three of us, it's like, so my mom and my dad, weren't together, and I primarily was with my mom. But, my dad, he definitely played a part in terms of, like, the overall, message in my life as far as like having an expectation. Like, I respected my dad, but he was the force that would come down if, like, if something bad was happening. So, so he would, I saw him every Monday. That was my day, you know what I mean, and see him or whatever. And that alone, he had that in my life. But then my mom actually met a man that ended up being a very crucial part of my life, because he ended up, I ended up having a stepfather, you know what I mean, that that basically raised me. And so I had my regular dad, my real dad, and I had my stepdad. And so at a very young age, I had to kind of understand what family was, because I'm like, I'm at school, everybody like, oh, my dad this, my dad that. I'm like, well, I got two dads. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of...
That's the coolest shit.
Yeah. I was like, I got two dads. So, I had to realize and understand that and have an appreciation for that. And I think that's what really kind of made me put the pressure on myself, was because, I had more than one person kind of like, pushing me. And, and although I didn't have that ideal household, that ideal family, you know what I mean? It was like it felt like it. It felt like this was the way things were supposed to be for me. So, obviously everybody has a different way about how they live and about how they were raised and whatnot. But for me, it was like that's how things went for me. I had like a makeshift situation that ended up like really having a positive effect on me, because I had the right men and right leaders and people that I could really lean on and really motivated me, and just those people, those figures in your life that you need to make you kind of set the standard for yourself.
Right. I think for me, man, I could say I was primarily raised by women. So, no, seriously, like, the man I am today, like, mom was dead. Like, my parents were married, but by the time I was six, going on 7, I think, like, my pop was out. So, and it's not like, see, the thing was for me, like, I knew my dad loved me my whole life, but it was just that he was so caught up that he couldn't love me the way I needed it. Like, so, having those conversations with your dad, to sit down or having a fear of God of your dad, I was not scared of my dad. Like, it was never a situation that I can kind of recall where it's just like, I'm gonna get your dad, I'm gonna tell your dad, and I'm just like scared. Like, no, it's like cool, but at the same time, when I was the young innocent mind, it's just like, no, you love your dad, you want to be like your dad, you want to, you know what I'm saying, you want to be around your dad, and I yearned for that. So it's just like when I finally realized, like, nah, like, nigga, dad, like, I would see my dad like every year, maybe from time to time, like, so it just was like but I was lucky because I had like brothers, my brothers was older than me, so like a lot, when they came of age and was coming of age, a lot of stuff they was doing, I was just modeling after them. So whatever they was doing, I would just mimic that. And it wasn't really being a man, it was more so being a teenager, and then they learn how to be a man. So now I'm learning how to be a man. And then it was just like, I did get lucky though. My homie D, his grandpa, Mr. Don, was like the man of all men. Like, if anybody you could kind of model a man after, like, the greatest man I ever met was Mr. Don, because he was like the no tolerance, stand on my word. When I say something, that's it. Don't take it back. Don't apologize about how you feel. That was him. And that was like, yo, if I can be any way in my life, I can be him. And I never seen nobody. I done met a lot of tough people in my life, but I never seen nobody more tough than Mr. Don in my life. And it wasn't like I'm trying to be tough. It's just who I am. This is my presence. And dog, you can hear this nigga when he curse somebody out, you heard that shit 3 blocks away. Like, he let it be known. Like, whoever was going to be the asshole of the day, it was him. But he was like that figure that was kind of like not really sitting us down having conversations, but just being that example. Like, this is how you conduct yourself. This is how you be a man of your word. This is why you ain't gotta lie. Like, this is why you can tell the truth and stand on that. And that's what I kind of had. But like, my relationship with my dad was always sore, because it was just like, dog, like, he wasn't around. Like, when I realized that, it was just like, dog, so I didn't rock with him. I didn't really care about a man's opinion in my life. Like, it was just like, all right, it's all about these women in my life, and it's all about women, period. But that's how I know how to treat a woman. But as far as men, I don't really like, just be like, either you there or you ain't. You know what I'm saying? But I learned how to love people unconditionally too, because now I just don't really hold shit against nobody. Like, it just be like, if you going through something, whatever your demons are, like, I learned that from my relationship with my dad. Like, you gotta learn how to love somebody despite, because sometimes they need for you to love them when they're not really seeing themselves to the point to where they can love themselves right. You know what I'm saying? So I had to kind of develop that side of me, and we had to grow up fast, because where we grew up. So just like, man, we was making life and death decisions out there. Like, we, right near the penitentiary, taking penitentiary chances when we ain't have to.
I would say probably the vast majority of males and men that I know in our age group, I guess the millennial, black man, brown man, colored man, whatever you want to go by, I see a lot of active fathers. I don't know if it's on part-time, even if it's part-time. I tell everybody I know, like women and men, as soon as you had a baby, if y'all good and y'all together, get joint custody. If y'all not good and y'all not together, get joint custody. Like, just go get joint custody from the rip.
That's real. And I think, I think I'm a better father today though, because of that shit.
You're supposed to get better every day, man.
Yeah, because I don't want to miss nothing.
And that's how you get it. It's from the time. Like,
yeah, and I'm only 3 years in, 2 years in.
You putting in that time, and then a good parent is reflecting on what they did.
Right.
I mean, most people are reflecting on what they've done throughout their day, but a good parent is definitely reflecting on what they did. A good parent is feeling some way about what they did. Did I go too far?
Right.
Did I hit them too hard? Should I have gave them what they asked for because maybe they really was hungry, or whatever the case may have been. I mean, a good parent should be challenging themselves. A good parent should be constantly looking to grow. I mean, I can't speak to parenting. And what I see a lot of fucked up shit, but that's why I will be dealing with you, right? Because you got some messed up stuff going on.
Right.
But I see a lot of at least active parents, and I think if nothing else, for a child to see their parents and know their parent, I think that stands for something. That does something. 100. Because even if you just know your father, you can find, like for you with your brother, you can find other male role models out there. And I had my father, and I still have, and have had other male role models who really affected me, and really helped me and grow and better in my development. I mean, it wasn't just my dad. He was definitely there. He was definitely a big part of it. But I remember he became a vice principal while I was Turner Middle School. A guy named Sharif Al-Mekki. He's not a principal at, I can't remember what
He
charter
worked at
school.
Mastery at on 56, like where Sarah, not Sarah Shaw.
Dude, let me tell you about this guy. It was in 7th grade. Richard was there, my older brother went there, he's 1 year older than me. I was in a band. And being in a band at Turner gave you such luxury. If you ever been in Turner Middle School, I think it's now Motivation High School, that is an exquisite building. It has so many it's huge. It has so many different spaces. It has a huge art studio. It has a choir room. It has a music room. It has a huge band room. It has a huge auditorium. It's a huge building. I always like about that building. But I was that shit. And then in hindsight, and then talking to my pop as I got older, and still talk to him now, it was because I learned so quickly. Teachers wouldn't challenge me. Like, I would be done the work. Most times if I hear something, or if I read something, or if I write something, or repeatedly, I learn it. I can learn in all 3 forms. I can learn relatively quickly. Teachers weren't catching up with me, and weren't keeping me, on my toes. So I would be bored, and I would be in class time. I'd be an asshole. I was always an asshole. I'm still an asshole, right? And so instead of he saw that. So instead of suspending me, he definitely gave me detention. But my detention wasn't sitting in the classroom. He made me follow the janitors. I had to clean up with the janitors at the school, custodians, whatever they want to identify as. I had to do all types of just labor. Not even just labor, but like, I had to do work. He felt my free time, because I think he saw that I was done with work. I was done. I know all this stuff. He saw that my grades were all A's and B's. It wasn't like I was a bad kid getting D's and F's. I mean, I think he probably would have took a different approach then. That was definitely another guy. I had so many men in my life who stepped up as
Mr. Keith was somebody.
Your
pop,
stepdad, right?
Yeah, Mr. Keith.
Dad, right?
Yeah. Like your pop, your pop shit. Like you gonna come across those examples, and like my relationship with my pop now is cool. Like me and my pop cool as ice. It was just that as a young man, it was hard for me. But when I got older, when I became a man, it was just like, nah, you don't want these demons from your childhood to carry over to adulthood. So it's just like, nah. And plus, my dad really cool as shit. You know what I mean? So it really kind of made more sense for me to kind of keep that nucleus together and to make sure that me and my dad maintain the type of relationship, especially since for my kids, like if I call my dad today, he right there for me. You know what I mean? So I don't hold it against him, but I just know growing up without that was definitely had a profound effect on me, just because it was different. Like I got used to not having him around, so it just was like, nah, if a nigga was around my mom, it was just like, who's you?
I try to make it clear to everybody.
I know it was hard for my mom dating back in the day. You got 3 sons?
It's important to have both parents involved. It's important to have a father involved in a daughter's life and in a son's life. No woman can raise a man. No man can raise a woman. You gotta have both parents involved. I mean, I see the daughters without the active father or active male in their lives on a consistent basis, and I look at my daughter, and these girls are so strong. And you notice that the girls who have had an active father, they are able to live up to their full strength and full potential. I'm not saying that those are the only women that live up to their full potential, right? We see plenty of women who were raised by a single parent or raised by grandparents or whatever, who have grown and shown and done great things. And I'm saying I see a strength, assertiveness, an aggression to a lot of women that I know, especially women of color, that have had an active father. I mean, when you see it depicted on television, just watching on television.
That's what I was getting ready. I ain't trying to just kind of piggyback off. You don't mean to cut you off, but it's kind of funny how you talk about television and the impact of it on women. Let's talk about more so recently Cardi B getting the #1 song in America.
Let's give it up for Cardi B. Let's clap it up.
Let's be clap it up
for all the strippers, especially the strippers at Stadium down in
Clap,
DC,
clap, clap, clap,
and
clap.
working the pole like nobody knows. Man, listen, I ain't gonna lie. I was liking Cardi B in some twisted way. It wasn't that I found her the most appealing. She do got sex appeal, but it wasn't just her sex appeal that I liked about her. It was definitely she get on my nerves with the dumbass voices she be making. All
it's her accent, like she Spanish.
No, she just used to say some unconventional wisdom that made a ton of sense in some twisted ass way. And I wanted women to hear that shit.
So you started believing her, like, what the fuck?
That's when I started. I was following her when she was working all the time, and Timmy was up. Then when she started making all the videos talking, I said, I'm following.
When she said she got a thing in her ass, when she was talking about why she got her ass done on the podcast, saying that, you know, all the chick that was getting all the money out of her ass, I get that ass. I do that, I get people more money. It was just like, you know what? I like this girl. Because at the end of the day, it was like she told you, listen, I was insecure, you know, my thing wasn't that fat. And at the end of the day, I knew I could make more. Like, you know, people would come up with some profound reason that they didn't achieve or they did achieve or for whatever. She just kept her straight gully with you from the rip. So whatever insecurities that people were trying to play on with her, anything ammo you got against her, it's just like, yeah, so. Like, it's just like, yeah, own it. Own your truth. If you live your truth, nobody can ever use it against you. Nope. That was some of the best wisdom I got, and that's something that she did. Like, if you live your truth, if you about that, you know, nobody could ever come at you about something you did or did not do and try to make you feel insecure about your life decisions and your life choices. Like, be good with you.
Eminem, 8 Mile, last rap battle. Yeah, I am a gun. Yeah, I am. Yeah, what? Man, what?
There we go.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's my concept. You know what I mean? You can't hurt me with the truth. Nah, because ain't nothing I got to hide. I'm an open book, baby. It ain't nothing I'm insecure about. I laugh about it. Listen, you probably throughout these conversations, y'all gonna hear a bunch of gory, bad stories about things that we might have done in the past or would do. I don't care.
But here's a piggyback off of kind of.
Shout out to Bridget.
But this the piggyback kind of to relate it. You know, we can come back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of, like, you know, the importance of black fatherhood. You know what I mean? When we talk about women nowadays, a lot of times, I'm not going to say like I know everything, but it seems like women nowadays, they feel like they got to do what they got to do to take care of their kids, right? So it's so crazy how the government just forces independency on women and giving them benefits to kind of settle, because now they're sitting here like, I got to do what I got to do to make the money I got to make. And it's almost justified because of the position that they're put in, and it's all pushed down upon us because it's like, you know, like, I mean, stripping is under the table. You know what I'm saying? So
you talking about family court?
Yeah. But is it bringing back to Cardi B? I mean, that's the example that we giving women nowadays.
No, but what does that show you? Does that say that now we're in a real place where you can truly build a career off of social media?
Yeah.
Or is it showing us that that ratchet is what's hot right now?
No.
I mean, what is this really showing us?
I feel like it's both. Number one, you can organically build an audience. Like, people will take a liking to you. Number one, the music got to sound good. I don't care where you from, what you do. If you come out with a catchy hook, you got a nice beat and a nice little flow to go with it, you're going to get on. I don't care where you come from, what you do. But also, social media, like, it's the #1 platform for you to put yourself out there and market yourself in any way possible.
So you gotta get a chick shaking her ass and showing her tits, because that's how she got her numbers up there, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
that's when I was following her.
Yeah.
It was all ass and titties. Then she started talking a lot, and that's how she transitioned. That's what you gotta do to get your followers up. You gotta get naked.
No, but it
yes.
works. No, you don't.
You don't have to. But it's almost like
pay for it. I'm not talking paying.
No. What I'm saying is there are several ways to skin a cat. Sex sells.
Sure.
There are several ways to skin a cat. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you gotta put your if you have talent, whatever that talent is. What if she could sing her ass off and she got to follow up?
Bodak Yellow was hot.
And that's what I'm saying. If Bodak Yellow, listen, you know how many people wanted Bodak Yellow to be ass? Y'all know how many people wanted Cardi B to be wet? I'm one of them people. So I'm like, dog, why she rapping? Like, she funny, but why she rapping?
First time I heard the song, I didn't even know it was her. I didn't even know it was her first time I heard it.
I thought it was another chick. That's what I said. Listen, I ain't gonna say I wanted it to be rap, but I expected her to be a whack rapper. Sure. Because how many chicks got on Love and Hip Hop said I sing, I rap, and they put some shit out. You're like, what the fuck what is this? No, she came with a hit. And you can't deny it. And you got something people can't deny, you have a talent. Like you said, you followed her because of titties, she was shaking her ass, and she transitioned and did the right thing. She did it right. But at the end of the day, whatever she did to get your attention, she got it. And she got you. So
now I have your attention.
Yeah, now that I have your attention, listen to
it's like a bump gang boy. Bump gang. You know, my bump gang boy, why he goes into the stores and he steals stuff and he walks out playing bump gang and he.
The fuck is
y'all don't know that? Oh, y'all.
This
is pop culture, man. Everybody knows about this. So,
everybody, I don't know about
so go to your Instagram page now, type in BOONK.IG.
I'm not even going.
No, you should, because it's pop culture.
Is it funny?
Basically, what he does.
Where you from?
He's from Miami. What he does is he walks in the stores, he steals shit on camera all the time. He doesn't walk to a store and stole 2 iPhones. He done robbed somebody for perks. He just does things on camera to get attention, basically.
Yeah.
And so he did it for a while until he got millions of followers. He did
what worked.
Yeah, but so then he came out. The news picked the story up, and he came out in the news saying that he was doing all this for a rap career because he's trying to just get himself relevant. And sure enough, this nigga's on stage. He has a rap song, get millions of views. He's on World Star, Bump Gang, B.O. All kids going into a store, stealing stuff, and doing it on purpose.
When we want to put my,
he was going to McDonald's. He was going to McDonald's, and he would take the milkshakes, and he would just pour them all over the ground, and just do a slip and slide through it, called a hood slip and slide. All type of crazy dumb shit. But this is what people started to follow how he got famous.
All I'm saying is, when I'm ready to be famously, release my untitled video. and then we all views on all my videos. Exactly. All that rap you did, nigga. Your most viewed video. Once he got out there, people was doing it. Ain't the most viewed. I'm gassing too. My bad. I struck the chord. My bad. I'm very sensitive about my views. I know, my bad. You gotta be sensitive about your art. My bad. Artist. That's your art. You are an artist, man. Thank you. But no.
Yeah, on some real shit, it's just good that definitely have people that.
Is she bringing anything new to music? I mean, because if I'm being honest, I don't dig.
She's like a poor man's Nicki Minaj.
I don't care what she is.
She's like Scottie Pippen.
She got a hot song. You know what I mean? Hopefully, maybe she'll get another hot song.
No, she had another song out.
Yeah,
it's about like you know you on camera, right? You scratching nothing.
I don't care.
No.
Look. It's not no promise that this won't hit the podcast, you know. To be honest with you, because we gotta listen to it and see how we feel about it.
I was saying it's going live, so.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So
I don't care.
But the live.
What are you doing?
You're goddamn. Come on, cuz.
Sit down,
y'all seen me? I will get naked. I don't like wearing clothes.
I will definitely edit that part out. But no, on some real shit, because when I just look at like the amount of time that we spend talking about things, and everything that we made relevant, it's definitely a sense that, when we talk about the 4Fives podcast and what it means to society, it's really, society is a big word, but, it means, that, we have a voice, it doesn't stop here. We want y'all to talk to us.
It's really, society is a big word, but,
So I think he's dead.
But of course, yeah, 4Fives podcast is definitely going to be one.
Yeah.
Sometimes make, like I said,
some girl with crabs.
sometimes make you laugh, sometimes make you cry.